it's April 10th. It's April 10th and I just finished filming my second quarter goal. That's why I look less like the dungeon goblin that I usually am and more fit for public consumption right now. Anyway, let me talk to you about what's going on at the manuscript real quick. I'm currently on chapter 26 and I want to share with you a little bit of my problem. Well, since yesterday, which basically extended to today, I have 0 word count still. Well, I did wrote a bit yesterday on my outline, which I count for my word count goals because those are still new words even though they're not in the manuscript. It still work out. It's part of it because basically my outlines are like rough draft material. So, okay. Let me share with you how I write. So, well, at least with this book, I pants the shit out of it. I pants the 0 draft, didn't do a read through, pants the first draft. I did a read through of that, but I only did the read through of that once. So then in November, I realized the fix that I could implement for the second draft. Then I started working on the second draft more seriously when 2025 started, January 6. I wrote 18 chapters. Was it 18 or 16? Man, I could always check. So I wrote 16 chapters in the second draft, and then when I realized that the edits that already are needed to make it better was big enough that it would make more sense if I started rewriting chapter 1 again. And so this draft 2.5 was born. Anyway, draft 2.5 was born, and how that works out for me is I have a table for my skeleton outline. I followed the 27 chapter outline method beats by Tastic. I will link her channel down below. I think she's the one who developed this 27 outline method, 27 outline beats method. At least she's the original one that I had watched years ago when I was learning how to plot and structure a book. Hers is one of the methods that I checked. And in this book, her structure makes more sense than Save the Cat or Romancing the Beat structure. So anyway, I'll link her channel down below, and then also I link another channel. Yes, The Right Mindset. I link his channel down below because he has a series of videos where he did a deep dive into this particular outline story structure, and I found that really helpful. I also use his template that he provided for free. It's a Google Doc, and it has a description of each plot beat and what's expected of that, and he did a plot deconstruction or plot analysis of the Da Vinci Code. So I'll also link his channel down below for you. Anyway, so using the 27 outline structure, I did my skeleton outline. I just dropped down, I just put down scenes and do it as follows, one after the other, because I also write chronologically. I cannot write on different parts of the book. It has to be chronological because when I draft, I need to follow my character's emotional arc, the cause and effect from each chapter to see if the actual scene is gonna work out, if the actual plot beat for that certain chapter is gonna work out. Anyway, so here's the problem. I put down the plot beats on the skeleton structure. I outline the scenes that I thought is gonna be on a certain chapter, and then I write the chapter. Now, here's what happened. In chapter 24, I outlined the chapter having 3 scenes. But when I sat down the following day to actually write the first scene, I realized that I needed to change the POV character on that scene. Originally, the idea was to write that scene in my vampire's POV. But when I sat down to start writing, I realized it should be in my assassin's POV. So I switched it up. And since in my outline, it's a different POV, therefore the way that scene is gonna work out is gonna be way too different than what's actually on page. Excuse me. And then I finished that scene in that chapter. And then the following chapter after that, I realized that the scene that was still in that outline, because I'm still following the progression of scenes from that same outline, even though it's from a different POV at this point. The second chapter in that second scene is gonna be in my assassin's POV again. So I wrote that, and now I can follow the third scene. Supposedly, I can use the third scene in my vampire's POV for the next chapter. Now, here's the problem. Since according to the outline, supposedly I could have written those 3 scenes back to back, one after another in my vampire's POV. And then, because it's in his voice, it's in the vampire's character arc, it would have made sense for those scenes to happen the way that I wrote them in the outline. Technically, I cannot write it that way because the first 2 scenes coming from the assassin's POV is now different. We found out different things from my assassin while being in his POV in those certain scenes compared to what we have found out if we were in my vampire's POV. Now, the part of that last scene in that outline, there's a part there at the end where both of them were found in a bit of a compromising position by my assassin's dad, which I would have wanted to keep because I think it was funny. But for that scene to continue making sense, my vampire would have had acted in a way that he wouldn't have. So I'm basically screwing up his character, his personality, which is really, no, I wouldn't want to do that. So yesterday, I basically spent the entire day walking around thinking about it, sitting down and journaling as if talking, I usually journal as if I'm talking to someone else on page, but it's just me. Anyway, so I did that, trying to figure out what's the best way. And the best way is to actually just kill my darling, basically. I have to let go of that scene, even though I wanted that last part of it to happen. And maybe I can save it and put it somewhere else that would make sense for my characters and the plot for the later part of the book. But somehow I'm feeling some kind of resistance writing. I expected it yesterday because I'm trying to figure things out, thinking time, brainstorming time is still part of writing. Writing is not just, sitting down and putting down words. And I get that, and I understand that happening to me yesterday because I was thinking I needed to make a decision first before I can get on with it. But today, I'm feeling resistance because I don't know why. I don't know why. It could be because I'm feeling like I'm starting to have eye strain. Yesterday, my eyes had started hurting and I woke up today. It's still a bit painful, but currently there's no pain anymore. But that could have been it. My brain is just like, nope, you're in pain somehow, sometime during the day, so therefore you're not gonna write. I don't know if it's lack of motivation. I don't know if it's lack of the urge. It can't be inspiration because I can sit down and outline that scene and at least have an idea on what's going on, what's gonna happen, and how it's gonna happen, and things like that. I can make progress, but somehow sitting down here today and putting, words, any kind of words on page, is just, it doesn't feel like it's gonna happen today. So I'm thinking that I'm gonna take the rest of the day off. And even though I already did that yesterday, I feel like my mind and my body is telling me something that I just can't decipher. But I'm still going to listen to it. And then we're gonna get back to writing tomorrow. So the rest of the day is gonna be, yeah, that's my dog saying hi to whoever is coming home. So we're gonna do writing tomorrow, and the rest of today is gonna be rest day. So see you later. Hey, hi, hello. So let's talk a bit about how that first sprint since Tuesday worked for me. So I mentioned yesterday that I was having some problems and some, eye problem in some motivation problems, and today I woke up and I'm feeling good. Eye pain's gone. So I guess I just needed to take a break from my screens. And then motivation wise, I felt like I wanted to write today, so I did. Anyway, so you saw earlier in that time lapse, I did a 30-minute sprint just to, start off easy. Because usually I do 45 minutes to an hour sprint. So doing a 30-minute sprint after a few days of not writing felt like how it should be for me today. Anyway, so you saw earlier that I was tippity-tapping here on my keyboard, and I was working on the outline for the current chapter that had me stumped a few days ago and also yesterday. Now that I have finally sat down and actually accepted how the story needed to go without me questioning it, I managed to write about 309 words in the outline. And also I was doing a little bit of research about private jets because, I don't own one. I haven't been in one, so I don't know what they look like or what to expect. And dang, those are pretty. Those are pretty pictures out there in Google. Just look at it and all the luxury. Like, I didn't know you could even put those in a jet. I didn't know you could fly those things around. Anyway, so I did that because I also needed to do a little bit of research for the FAA regulations about medical stuffs on board, because one of my side characters needed to be flown back to where they, the city that they lived at originally, where one of my MC sister's medical facility is located. So I needed, my characters needed to transfer this side character there, and I needed to see if it was possible to transfer someone like that with the amount of injuries she had aboard a private jet without having to, go through hospitals and shit, because who want to deal with that, right? Anyway, so I got that taken care of, and I'm feeling better the way this scene/chapter was going so far. So there's that. I'm gonna do a few more sprints for the day, continue writing, and see where I'm gonna end up with at the end of the day word count wise, because usually I had a 10,000 weekly word count goals, and that was even before I decided to join the rough draft challenge and had a 40K goal for the entire month of April. And so far, let me check my data here for the week, because I woke because I wrote Monday and Tuesday, and I have for Monday and Tuesday's word count in total, I think that's only about that is less than 5,000 words. And since it's Friday for me now, it's April 11th, so it's a Friday, and usually I only write from Mondays to Fridays because my weekly chores needed attention for Saturday and Sunday, preparing for the following week for my kids' school and my husband's work week. I don't know if I could write 6,000 words a day, and if I manage that, that's highly improbable. But maybe, maybe I'm just, talking down on myself, and maybe I actually can do it, but I'm not holding my breath I'm not actually gonna try to reach that goal. But if I did reach it later, that'd be nice perk for the day. But I had other admin stuff that I needed to do. I have a bunch of tasks here, including editing the video that I just filmed yesterday for YouTube, so that's that. And I also needed to fill in some information for the video that's going to come out tomorrow, so there's also that. So yeah, that's what we have going for today. And if during the weekend I find the time to write, maybe I can get another 6,000 words for the rest of the week and actually reach that 10,000 weekly word count. But if not, no sweat. I've already accepted that this week might be a flop for word count wise, but that's okay. I needed a break, my eyes needed a break, and I needed to take care of myself first. That's first and foremost, more than winning a challenge. So I'll talk to you guys again later, and I'll update you on how things are going. Yes. So, last time we talked, well, first let me tell you what day it is. It's April 16th and I just finished my second writing sprint for today. And I want to update you real quick on where I'm at, not just on my word count, but also in the book. Anyway, so last time we talked, I was having a problem with my outline, and something I'd written on it sounded really good for the scene and how it ended. And I thought that me having a problem moving on to actually writing that particular scene because of the change in POV, I thought the problem was that I just really wanted to keep it, and I just maybe am scared to kill my darling per se. But last Monday, when I went back to writing and finishing the outline, I realized that I missed something on, not necessarily on that scene, it's the scenes before, but it would have been on the same chapter according to that outline. I totally missed the part that there's a side character that was in that chapter, and it would have made sense for this side character, which is one of the brothers of my assassin, to be there because it would have been in my vampire's POV, and putting them together at the same scene for the first time would have given the readers some sort of discovery for one of my subplots. But since I changed the POV and we didn't see, well, we don't see, well, I did see, but the readers won't see that first interaction between my vampire and that brother, that would have been a loss in opportunity for the readers to see how that interaction went. So that's really what's bugging me at the back of my head, and I didn't even realize it. It's just my intuition was telling me something that I didn't even consider at first, and that was the reason that I was having a block writing chapter 26. So then, after I figured that little tidbit out of the side character brother, changing him to a different sibling was the fix that I decided to go with, and the interaction between my vampire and that new sibling on chapter 27. Was it 26? My brain's going confused. Right, hold on, let me check real quick. Yeah, chapter 26, because chapter 26 is in my vampire's POV. So I didn't want the readers to see my vampire's reaction to the original side character brother that was in the outline through my vampire's internal monologue in his narrative view. I want the readers to see it right there while it was happening, instead of during the time that my vampire is pondering about what had happened in his point of view from the last few scenes. So putting the vampire instead with a different sibling in chapter 26 for that scene, I think was a better idea, and it went the way it would have went, and definitely less, how do you say, let's just say it would have been boring if in chapter 26, if my vampire had sat down there at the jet on the way back to Crescent City, that fictional city that they all lived in. It would have been boring if I let the original side character brother to be with them, because nothing would have happened on that jet ride. But it was important to start the chapter there, because I needed the vampire I needed a bridging scene to connect the next scenes from the last one, if you know what I meant. Anyway, so I wrote that. I made the changes. So now I just finished chapter 27, and I started that chapter during my first writing sprint for the day, and during the second sprint I finished the chapter with 20 minutes still to spare in my clock. So I started working on chapter 28's outline for that. So it's already 12:19 in the afternoon. I started late today because I needed to film a couple of B-rolls earlier today, and before I got my ass in the chair, I was not in the mood to write today. My husband started work today late, so I had him in the house with me as well. And then we also have some maintenance work going on at the back patio because the tiles started breaking during the winter, so there's gotta be some random noises here and there. And I'm glad I wasn't filming my day in the life vlog today, and hopefully they get to finish that today because it's supposed to take longer than they were expecting because of the shitty weather that we're supposed to have this week. But I'm glad that today it hasn't rained yet, so hopefully they can actually finish it today instead of by next week. Anyways, that's my update for today. And also I let future Anne put in the screen somewhere here on the update on my word count for at least today, because I haven't calculated any of that yet. I usually write my total word count for the day and then don't actually sum that all up until the end of the week. And since last week I did the, what day was it? Last week I did an update on, was it Thursday? I don't remember anymore. My days are flowing together and I don't know which day is which. So anyways, I'll put my total numbers somewhere there up in the screen to update you guys, and then I'll talk to you guys again later for the next update. Hey, hi, hello. It's April 29th and it's cram time. before we get to the cramming, let me update you guys real quick about last week, because I don't think I filmed any writing clips last week because there was barely any writing that happened. So I don't know if this update is gonna be quick or not, but let's get on with it. So last week was a bit of a cray week. It was a bit of a messy week for me and my household. I got a bit sick and there's some broken bones involved. Not me, but still. And some other stuff that I'm not even gonna talk about. And let's just leave it at that, I guess. Anyways, so because of all that, I think I wrote less than 4,000 words for the entire week. With me being sick and all, I had some writing rest, but when it comes to mental rest, there was no rest to be had at all. So that took a toll, but I managed to film some clips this Monday, and I managed to join some live writing sprints for the Hearty's virtual retreat weekend, so that was good. I don't usually join live writing sprints because of the time difference, but last Monday I managed to jump into, I think it was the third sprint from Sarah's that she was holding during the virtual retreat, and then I jumped into Rhiannon's live writing sprints after that. So Monday I hadn't come off from being sick yet, so my energy was definitely down, and I know that I wouldn't be able to muster up the energy to draft. And aside from that, I also needed to brainstorm anyways how I wanted chapter 29 to go for the outline. So I brainstormed some stuff during the live sprints, and I managed to figure out a few world building things here and there that I didn't really pay attention to during the first draft because it wasn't important then, but now it is for this current draft, so I had to figure that out. And then yesterday I was planning to write, but I woke up feeling heavy, like there's an elephant just on top of me and my body was way too heavy. My legs don't even have the strength to carry me standing up for long, so I had to take a break yesterday as well, which means that instead of writing, how many words? Instead of writing 2,170 words for yesterday and today so I can get to 40K for the month, I have today to write 4,340 words. And I woke up great this morning. But then I took a shower and my energy coming from here went down all the way here just from taking a shower. So I don't know if I'm actually going to hit that word count. I don't know if I'm actually gonna manage 40,000 words for the month. That's the reality I'm in right now. Maybe I can write 2,000 words. Maybe I can write 3,000 words. Maybe I can even push for 4,000 words, but I don't know if it's actually gonna happen. Like, the motivation is there, but the energy, physical energy and the mental energy is like maybe at 50% right now. So I don't know if I would be able to do it. But instead of lamenting the idea or the very high possibility that I'm not gonna reach my word count goal, I'm just gonna go start on my first writing sprint. It's already 10:12 a.m. and I only have until at the most 3 p.m. because since being sick last week, I also have not done a bunch of my chores, so I have to clean up the house. But first, writing, and after that clean up. So I definitely need to save up some energy to do that because after cleanup I have to make dinner. Anyways, so let's get on with this first writing sprint and then I'll talk to you guys later. Hey, hi, hello, I'm back. So I'm getting ready to start the fourth sprint of the day, and I only need 1,168 words to reach my goal of 4,340, so I could get to that 40K for the month. So a little update on the chapter. I'm almost done with the outline slash first draft of chapter 29, and I managed to actually include that scene that I have been talking about that I really wanted to keep but had to take out from the earlier chapters, and I think it's gonna work out. So I just have to outline that differently. Well, first draft it differently because aside from the settings, some parts of it had to change because they're now different people at this point compared to where they were at in the earlier chapter that I had this idea for, this scene idea for. But it still should have the parts of it that I really wanted, especially the last part of it, which will end up going to be the end for the chapter. And then after I finish this, which shouldn't take the next 45 minutes. I'm gonna switch to the actual draft 2.5 chapter and then redraft it for that, which is also gonna be new words which I can still count towards my word goal. So yeah, that's the update to it. I'm gonna go start that fourth sprint because it's already 1:41 and I wanted to actually finish writing for the day before the kids come home. And if I still have the time to film the outro after that, I will film it today. But if not, I would come back to you guys tomorrow for the conclusion of this vlog. So I'll see you guys later. I just got back from getting my nails done, and yes, I reached my word count goal that I set out for the rough draft challenge. As you've seen in the last clip, I needed 4,340 words and I ended up writing 4,540 words yesterday. So yay. I honestly didn't think that I would make it, you know. Earlier in the month, when I decided on this word count goal, I thought it was going to be easy peasy lemon squeezy to achieve it. But that was because I was working with the data that I have during the first quarter of the year, where I managed to write 150,000 words in just 3 months. Surely, if I could write that much in 3 months, I could definitely write 40,000 words in one, right? It shouldn't have been an issue. But it was. It had been. Told you guys I was delusional. I didn't take into account the toll starting a YouTube channel would take on me. Producing weekly content, filming the videos, and then editing them on top of that. I didn't take into account the toll that starting a YouTube channel would take on me. Producing content on a weekly basis while also still going hard on my writing. When I wasn't used to filming videos and then editing for hours on top of that. I also didn't take into account what the changing of seasons from winter to spring would be on me health-wise. So there's also that on top of, adding YouTube to my plate. Another thing that I also didn't consider was my personality. For some creatives, having The stress of a publicly announced deadline works for them. I knew from the beginning when I decided that I want to be a self-published author that I would never set out a pre-order in advance. Whether it's a year on out or just a few months in advance, until I know for sure that I could and would meet that deadline, even with possible multiple obstacles in my way in between. Setting out that deadline publicly and then the actual deadline. Why then would I think that announcing publicly that I would write 40,000 words in 1 month would be a great idea? I'm glad you asked. But the only answer to that is that I was delusional. This is another tally on my delusional part right there. When I wrote the last word yesterday and I realized that I actually managed to met the challenge for the month, it felt like a weight had been lifted off of my shoulders. I felt light and free, and it shouldn't have felt like that. Yes, we should be happy and proud that we reach a goal, but our goals in the first place shouldn't have felt like it's a burden that once we reach it, it felt like a weight had been lifted off your shoulders. My writing shouldn't have felt like a burden, something that I should just do just to get done with it. It's supposed to be fun and awesome and all these happy feelings because I'm creating a new world. I'm creating a story. I've created characters that I've put through shit so they could get to their happily ever afters. It shouldn't have felt like a chore at all. I don't even actually have the stress of producing a book for an audience yet. But that was how it felt, and it shouldn't even have been that stressful in the first place. The best thing about the Rough Draft Challenge, regardless of which month you decided to do it, is that you can always change your goals during the month. Sarah had set up this challenge in a way that if you use the Rough Draft Challenge site, you can go in there, declare your word count goal or any kind of goal for the month, and you can go in any day, any time of the month within that same month that you had that challenge and change it however way you see fit that would work for you. It has always been her goal to take out the stress of writing so that more writers can find their joy back again in the process of creating their stories. So I could have just changed my goal from 40K to 35K and I wouldn't have had to worry this last week about it. But did I do that? You know, your girl didn't. I didn't. Because in my brain, I felt trapped in it because I announced it publicly. That's where the stress came from. I announced it publicly, so therefore, there are only two ways it could go. Either I reached that goal or I didn't. And then I didn't want that. I didn't want to come back at the end of the month saying that I didn't make it, especially since I have less than 5,000 words until I actually reach that goal. I wanted to push myself not just for the accountability, but also because of my own competitiveness. Was any of it healthy? No, they're not. Something that I should really work on about myself, and I'm definitely doing that now. So yes, I met my word count goal for the month, but I also failed the main idea behind the Rough Draft Challenge. It also hammered into me that I have to make some changes, which probably should include that I don't make any more public announcements of any kind of deadlines for myself out here on YouTube. I didn't like that stress. Not at all. So there's definitely some lessons learned during this month. That being said, I'm also on the cusp of burnout. And I definitely have to do something about it before I actually cross that line into actual burnout. So I'm gonna go into a creative slash productive break for maybe a week or two for the month of May, replenish my well, and I'm gonna vlog that for you guys. I'm just so ready to take a writing break and replenish my creative well and maybe do some productive projects and chores around here at the house that I have neglected for a few weeks now. But yeah, that's the plan for a week or two. So for now, thank you for joining me in this vlog. And if you made it this far, leave me a writing emoji down there in the comments. And if you're comfortable to share, only if you're comfortable to share, let me know what you think about writing challenges down there in the comments. Also, what do you think about public deadlines? Announcement of public deadlines. Share those with me down there in the comments. You already know what I think about them, so if you're comfortable sharing your thoughts on them, please leave them down there in the comments for me. If you like this vlog, please hit the like button. And if you're liking my content so far, please hit the subscribe button so you can get notified every time I post a new video. Again, thank you folks for hanging out with me, and I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you guys again later. Bye!